Oh. Okay.
Thank you.
So PCS features is that third slide down. So 455 students-ish. It was a good reminder around how much our populations can change quickly. I had 3 kindergartners register in the last day, in 24 hours. 3 new kindergartners have registered. So you just don't know when you're going to get an influx in any of those numbers. So 70 staff members, 36 and a half teachers, 16 ed techs, and our school counselor. 53% free and reduced lunch. We have 5 new staff members at Pullman Community School, or did. We actually have a 6th now with a functional life skills student. And just good involvement on a part of our PTA and people that come into the building. So again, I think Tina talked about, right, some of the difficult decisions that we made and some of the things that we're trying to come in line with. So our budget areas are kind of broken down into clumps of funding and expenditures. And that's how I have my presentation broken down. So administration as an overall, administrative costs will be down 1% from last year in this current budget. There is a cut, there's that minus, there's a cut in the support salaries. There's going to be a cut in days. We found that our staffing was not necessarily in line with the high school staffing for secretarial. So we are cutting back on some days in that area. Again, there's some pluses that we really don't have a whole lot of control of that, you know, Tina talked about. So administrative benefits, that, you know, there's an increase in costs, and with staffing changes, that has been an increase. Administrator retirement, again, Tina touched on that, that the retirement costs went up. Took out 1 course for the administrative team. So we took $1,300 out there. Communications, again, Tina touched on that the phones we cut there. And then there was again a small increase in supplies, just a need for some of the office furniture that's falling apart, and then some actual costs that we had, so a small increase there.
And when Rick says the administrative costs have gone down 1%, the administrators, we haven't negotiated contracts, so there's no raises in there yet. There is a contingency line that holds raises in another space, so that may not be down
Right.
once the raises are put in, but the lines that he controls and we know so far, that's accurate.
And that's the same case. That'll be across the board, correct? That there's a contingency line around teacher salaries, around ed tech?
Teachers are all set? Because they're
Okay.
negotiated, but the support staff are not negotiated
Okay.
yet, so there's contingency. So the raises are in the budget. They're just not showing necessarily on the line yet because we don't know what the raises will be until we negotiate the contracts.
Okay, on to the regular instruction. So regular instruction covers grades 3 through 6. Also includes all of our specialists, so art, you know, phys ed, all of those are included in there. So there's a small reduction there in teacher salaries. One thing that we had forgotten that we didn't include in Tina's presentation. So I had 2 staff positions this year that I was unable to find viable candidates for. That I did not fill. One of them was going to be paid for out of Title II in a class size reduction, which is what Tina talked about doing at Elm Street for next year. The other one was a 6th grade position that we didn't fill because we couldn't find a candidate that we felt was going to match our school and you know, be able to do a really good job in there. So that 6th grade class is a big class, and that will be moving on to Mr. Vincent at the middle school. So that staff member was not really going to be required next year. So that position actually has been eliminated, has been cut out going into next year. I believe, looking at the numbers, and I need to double check with Stacy afterwards, but based on our changes in our numbers, I think we actually included that in our K-2. was that staff reduction showed up there instead. But we'll clarify that.
I have a
Afterwards.
staff open right now, so we can do that.
Okay. So 3 to 6 instruction actually overall is up 1%. We saved around $9,000 in a teacher salary. That would be a change in the personnel. I had a 5th grade teacher last year retire, who was pretty much top of the scale for the district, and hired somebody who was brand new, who was at the bottom of the scale. So it created some savings there, but that was offset then by those salary increases that Tina had already talked about that are in there. Ed tech salaries are actually down a little bit.
Contingency.
Yep, that's in the contingency right now. Again, there were some staffing changes when I talked about I have 5 new staff. 3 of them were ed techs, so that's some of the changes there. Increase in benefits, the teachers and techs, and including their retirement. That was that big lump of where the costs have been shifted onto the district from the state level. We cut professional development travel. Again, we took the professional development out of there, and what we do have will be controlled at central office, which I think creates, for me, I think honestly creates a fairer environment. If, let's say, my phys ed teacher comes to me and wants to go to a conference, and I say no, but then Ryan's phys ed teacher goes to him and he says yes, there creates some inequity there, and we may not discuss that ahead of time. It may be just that request that comes through. So having that control at central office will actually be a lot better for us so that we don't have those conflicts. Losing it entirely is certainly not good, but having some money, and I think there will be some still there. And then we were up in supplies, including our music, around $4,500. My 3 to 6 line ran out of money in October this year. Part of the reason why that happened was there is a change. When we changed our everyday math program, we went from a cost of about $18 per student journal set to $23. So with that $5 per kid, almost 500 kids in my school, boom, there's $2,500, right, that we needed. So, and that's why we ran out so quickly this year and why we needed to increase that. And then we cut money out of our book line. Well, like Tina talked about, we've been investing pretty heavily in our book room the last few years. And that creates multiple copies of a text so that teachers can use that in their classroom to read with their students. So it might be, 6 copies of Johnny Tremaine, and there's 6 kids that read that. They meet with the teacher, they talk about their reading, comprehension, they go through all those pieces of the reading instructions. So we've invested pretty heavily, and we felt like that was an area that we'd be able to cut back on now that we're feeling pretty comfortable with where we are.
And remembering a bunch of that money got shifted to the district level for the science and social studies books.
Yep. K-2 instruction is down 10%. Again, around the teacher salaries, we had some staffing changes. There is a loss of a teacher in there. And then again, it's kind of offset a little bit with salary increases, but so that's down 60,000 there. Instructional supplies, we adjusted. Again, we found that was based on the actual expenditures from this year. So we were able to cut a little bit out of there. And again, the books, that between the shifting and the support for our book room, we cut a little money in there. Pre-K is down 14%. So we had a staff change, again, a very experienced staff member to a less experienced staff member. So there was some change in the teacher salaries there. Ed tech salaries are up slightly. Again, there were, just steps on their experience rating. And then there was an increase in the benefits that we've talked about already.
So is the fence and the playground equipment for pre-K, is that part of the facility budget? So
Yes.
that's not reflected here?
Correct, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that totally offsets. There's no loss there.
right. Oh, yeah, pre-K is, yeah, we know that, well, I don't know, there's $22,000 in teacher salaries. I don't think we're gonna spend all of that on,
Are you one of the playgrounds that needs a fence?
yes.
So that's 15.
That was 15.
Yeah, and then
And-
7 or 8 for the, for the equipment.
And the sink.
And the sink, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So.
You're right.
Bye-bye to this evening.
Yeah. Guidance, it wasn't $1,000. There's a small change in the guidance, but that's contractual. That's that's really my guidance counselor, my school counselor's salary increases.
You said
It's-
1,000?
It's 1%. It's not $1,000.
Believe me.
So it's a few hundred. But
Well, you had numbers on every single
Yeah.
line except for that one.
yep, and that's because it's under $1,000, so
Oh.
only those numbers that are over $1,000 that I include. But it is a separate category in the budget, so I wanted to address it as a separate category.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Library is down 5%. Again, that is, Tina talked about the fact that we've really worked on our libraries the last few years. So across the elementary level, we cut that down to $10 per student for
And the 7
books.
to 12 level.
Oh, and 7 to,
Yeah,
okay.
Across the district.
And then just a summary there. So excluding salaries and benefits and some of the things that are are in separate places, so like the pre-K, the work that we have to do around our pre-K with the playground and, change in the facilities. So we exclude that and we exclude the salaries and benefits. The PCS budget in those other areas is down $12,433 this year from last year. I did go through, because I guess there was a glitch in giving us a summary number.
There's not a glitch. We're
Or-
just not able to, with the system that we have, to do a % increase for the whole building, which,
Okay.
kind
So
of a nuisance. But you can see. we can
based
see
on
it.
our, right, based on ours, it is a 1% increase with everything included with the exception of the facilities things.
And
There is a
contingency.
And contingency,
money.
right. There's a 1% increase.
You can only program the software in one spot to calculate totals throughout the financial. And so
you
if
do
I
it in
told
one
it to
spot,
do
it
it in each building, then the grand total of the budget, when I printed the financial for the
Yeah.
board, would be astronomical.
Yeah.
Because it totals
So-
all the totals.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
that
why I'm not able to-
1% increase includes teacher salary increases, does
But no
not
support
include
staff.
support staff or administrative, because neither of those have been settled yet.
Yes.
What things did you ask for that you cut?
Ooh,
Oh, we kind of already did that.
Yeah.
Well, I know,
See where your slides are. So where he said, see all these books, the PD,
but the books got shifted, they didn't get,
right, but they're out of his budget. So the PD, the books, and some supplies for K to 2 were where
Yeah.
the cuts came from.
were the bigger ones, yep.